Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back. I do apologize for not being keeping my content and doing my videos. I've literally been working my eye off because I am due to go on holiday this week. I'm on a jet plane going away, and yes, I will be vlogging it. So that's what I've been busy preparing for, and also preparing all my work because I will not be in work during the time that I am away. So that's why I haven't been being able to have the time to literally sit down and create my videos for all of you to listen to me gabble on and gabble on and gabble on. Anyway, you know what we're getting into. We are getting into Married at First Sight Australia Series 12. We are now on episode 13. Okay, so it's now confessions of the couch time for these couples. And I do believe that it's going to come out about Adrian and Sierra, because I'm telling you, there's more to it that meets the eye with them two. They have definitely told the respective others that they've been meeting up and hanging out in any event. Anyway, before we get into this episode, as I always ask my people, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. Right, so it starts off with Dave and Jamie trying to process Jackie and Ryan's relationship, and I said they need to stop right there, because there is no trying to process that shit. At the end of the day, it's just Whiplash City. They just understand their own brand of crazy. That's what it is. Nobody else looking at them is going to understand the shit that's going on with them except for them two at the end of the day. So it moves to Ryan. We see Ryan has ended up getting Jackie some flowers. So apparently Jackie's been asking Ryan for flowers time and time again, and now Ryan has automatically got her flowers out of the goodness of his heart, I should say. She feels like she is the luckiest girl in the world, and this is what she tells Ryan, that she is the luckiest girl in the world, and she's very happy with the flowers that he got her. Afwina still hasn't moved on from the previous night, from when Adrian shut her down fully. I was like, this man then wakes up the next day like shit didn't go on at that table, that he didn't shut this girl off mid-sentence because he didn't want to listen or talk about the shit that he is, or the shit that he does to her, basically. So he's all smiles, Adrian is, and he does this all the time to get around Afwina. He knows how to get around her. He likes to play cutesy play with this girl when he can see that she is mad, that she is unhappy, she is not happy with him, basically. And I'll just like, Afwina's at this point, Afwina is way too good for him, like seriously way too good for him. Adrian just reminds me of a smarmy little gargoyle. That's what he freaking reminds me of, like a proper garden gnome. That's what that dude reminds me of. And what makes it all the worse is knowing that you know that there's something going on between Sierra and Adrian, and nobody is none the wiser at the end of the day. Oh, I just don't know how Afwina doesn't address this man. Well, I can't even say that, because she does try to address him. She tries to air her concerns, share her concerns, but he is the one that keeps on shutting down her voice consistently. So Adrian is asking Afwina, because he likes to do this, yeah, he likes to pick the blame and deflect onto her, and then try and say it's Afwina that's deflecting when it's him. So he will turn to her and say to her, well, what does showing up for him, like for her, look like? What does it look like? He says, I know what it means for you. It means not being able to sit still. And I'm thinking, why are you still putting this girl down for, in front of her face? Yeah, I mean, my conversation would have stopped right there, because if you ain't gonna sit and chat to me adult to adult, then there is no business us even speaking about the shit that's going on, because you know what the fuck you're doing. it's getting tiresome. It's honestly getting tiresome between the both of them. And I mean, I don't understand how Afwina is literally still staying there, still muddling through with this dude when all he's shown her is absolute disrespect. I don't care how good the motherfucking sex is, it ain't that flipping good for someone to walk all over you in the way that Adrian's walking all over Afwina at the end of the day. So you see Sierra and Billy actually have had sex again after that dinner party, but Sierra, her face looks like a smacked ass. That woman was so unhappy. Yeah, so she and Billy are sharing a cuppa, and there's still like proper awkwardness between them. Billy was thinking that, you know what, something could have gave, that, you know, he got to the point where, you know, he'd started to open himself up again and was physical with Sierra, and she accepted that. Now my thing is if this girl likes another person's man, or likes this other man, namely Adrian, why is she then opening up herself to Billy when she knows that Billy wants an emotional connection with her, and she is not prepared to give him that at the end of the day? So I just believed at this point Sierra completely checked out. She completely checked out and became standoffish, and it's confusing Billy fully at the end of the day. He doesn't feel connected with Sierra emotionally at all, and he just brings up the fact that she's still so closed off about her past. So you see Marina and Tony. Marina is still pissy towards Tony because she felt that she was the one that had it hard at that dinner table, and Tony didn't feel it at all. She said she was hurt by Tony, basically, that he didn't stand up for her more. And he says, but I need Tony time. And I'm like, mate, you're 53. How much time do you need? Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, your wife is complaining about the fact that you're not there, you're not spending time with her. And I understand why Marina's getting the way that she's getting, because he's not making the effort and he's disappearing, as she says, doing a Houdini. But the problem is, on the flip side as well, is Marina's not looking into the issues as to what's causing Tony to run. Basically, they don't listen to each other. They really don't. But my thing is I understand where Marina is coming from, but she's not looking at the bigger scope in that, where she wants it to be all about Tony and what he's doing, but not look at her actions and what she's doing. She says basically she believes Tony is only around due to the obligations of the show. Tony basically says it's me at the end of the day, and he does genuinely say that he does go missing, and he starts to explain as well the reasons why he does go missing. Yeah, so Tony says that he wants to change. And you see Jamie say to Dave that there is so much going on, but she doesn't really want to say anything because she's scared of Marina will bite her head off, because Marina does give that kind of air and impression that, you know what, don't fuck with me because you will not like the outcome if you do, basically. So Marina was asked when Tony leaves, like, where does he go? So Marina replied, he's Houdini. So you hear when she said it, because she said it like boom, straight off the bat, like a shot out of a gun, yeah. Everybody else thought she was having a laugh and she thought she was joking, so they started to laugh. So it was when Marina could hear them laughing, that she turns around to them, like she gives them this look, like this total death stare, and she says to the group, like, you've already given me a hard time last night, guys, really? Tony was basically trying to get her to refocus on what it is that they were talking about. And she says that I can hear them. All Marina was focusing on was the other couples laughing, and she was saying nothing about this is funny at the end of the day. Tony was basically saying, but you don't have to get them involved in this conversation. With this whole situation with these two, it was a little bit much, to be honest with you. So Tony said, this is why I do the Houdinis, and this is why I have a problem with, because Marina doesn't listen at all, and she doesn't, and I don't think she gets that that's what she's doing to this man, that she's shutting him down as well. So the couples do turn to Marina and say to her that, you know what, Marina, we weren't laughing at you, it was just because of how you use the word Houdini. They just thought that was funny. Adrian did speak up and say that, you know what, last night at the dinner table you only heard the negatives and you never heard no positives, and you just thought people were getting at you the whole time. So John, the expert, asked Mirena, is that true? Do you only see the negatives? Mirena says, I didn't see any positives last night at the end of the day, even though Tony was providing her with positives. She could not see the wood through the motherfucking trees at the end of the day, because Mirena was too focused on the negative of Tony and the fact that he doesn't want to spend time with her. That's where her focus was. So Mirena says, like, she saw 13 people were against her. So Reese spoke up and said to Mirena, I have supported you and validated your feelings, and for you to sit there and say there are 13 people against you really offended Ree completely. So this is why I said Mirena makes it about her. She doesn't listen to others, or doesn't actually attribute positiveness to others either, because she doesn't see what's happening between her and Tony as any fault of hers at all, but all of Tony's. So they talked to Mirena about self-reflection and in terms of accountability. So they asked Mirena, what does she think she has said or done that has been bad for the relationship? And Mirena just basically sits there and says, I don't know. She says, I'm just being me, and that's part of the issue with Mirena. She doesn't see anything about how she deals with anything as an issue, basically. So John says we have to hold up a mirror and both of them have to take some accountability. Tony is basically already taking that accountability, but Mirena doesn't get it at all. So John asks Tony, have you contributed to the relationship not working? Tony says that I do take a lot of blame because he does disappear. So John asks, if you were given a percentage, what is the breakdown in terms of the contribution to the relationship not working? So Tony says it's a 50-50 split, basically. It's him and Mirena to blame. So when they asked Mirena the same question, it wasn't surprising to me that she turned around and said 70-80. So basically she is attributing majority of the blame to Tony, and my minuscule attribution to herself, which is 20%. I was like, wow, okay. I thought Mirena's not being honest, but then I thought to myself, actually she is being honest because it's from her perspective that she's looking at it from. Yeah, because she ain't getting what it is that she's doing that is causing majority of the issues to make this man cut and run at the end of the day. So John said, so your 20% is what? She says, she talks about being open. She says, and this is the thing, no one has spoken to Mirena like this, and this is what was needed. I'd said this in my previous episode, that this is what was needed. Someone needed to let Mirena know where she was going wrong at the end of the day, and it needed to happen, because even though Mirena says that she's had therapy for her experiences within her abusive marriage of 29 years, yeah, she truly has not learned any skills from it to put into practice, because I'm just flabbergasted at the answers that she's giving at this moment in time. So Mirena honestly looks stuck for an answer to the question that John asked. So Mirena turns around and she says, okay then, maybe it would be my tone, but then she blames her passion for her tone, basically. So John basically said to her, well, some might say passionate, but some might say abrasive. I would go with the latter. It's definitely abrasive, and it's true. It really is true. Like, when she gets things off her chest, she has the hand actions, as John pointed out. She points at people, she does this, she does that, and she didn't know that she was doing that. She honestly didn't know that she was doing that. So they said to her that her communication style is quite bad, which is true. Mirena says she didn't realize it was so strong at the end of the day, and if that's what they see, like, she didn't realize that she did it. So Tony says, sometimes I shut up and let her talk because I've lost my voice. And I thought at that point Mirena needed to hear exactly that pin drop moment from Tony at the end of the day, because Miranda used to say the same things about her ex-husband in the way that he treated her, that she had lost her voice within that marriage for 29 years, but she's not realizing that the actions that she's taking is she's doing the same thing to Tony, in the fact that she will not allow him to have a voice, because she's now found her voice and she is not going to shut her voice down. But there comes a time where, you know what, my love, you're going to have to take a step back. Take a step back, breathe, relax, let the man speak, let the man have some space, as I've kept on saying at the end of the day. So they asked Miranda if she was willing to work on the relationship. And Miranda did talk about, like, you know, there is hope, but actions speak larger than words. So they went to the decision, and Miranda did say leave. Again, that did not surprise me, because I thought that's where she was going to go. And you could hear Billy said, you know, I thought she would say that. Basically, she'd read that because she felt let down by Tony, because he was just cutting and running, basically, and she had no clear idea as to why. So Tony basically said stay, because he wants to reset with Miranda at the end of the day. So basically they both had to stay for another week, so he is hoping that they can turn it around. So Tony was told by John unceremoniously that there will be no more houdiniing. That's it, that's put paid to it. He won't believe in the experiment from that day on, which he couldn't do. So we go to the next couple, Jamie and Dave. Again, nothing to write home about them two. Their decision was to stay. We go to the next couple, Karina and Paul. Nothing to write home about there either. Paul adores Karina and they're emotionally and physically connected with each other, and their decision was to stay. Then we went to the next couple, Jackie and Ryan. Jackie and Ryan. What can I say about these two fucking nutwits? Like, seriously. So Ryan was asked why he thinks there was a lot of voices about the relationship at the dinner table. Ryan said he made a crass and ungentlemanly comments at the workshop. And I thought, oh, so now you can take accountability and responsibility now that they were crass and ungentlemanly, like, yeah, when at the end of the day, when you were at that table the night before, you couldn't take no accountability at all. You would go gung-hoing at people, thinking they were coming for you in your relationship. You were at that table minimizing that shit, and Jackie was helping you do it. Anyway, so Ryan looked at Jackie and basically turned to her and said, I'm sorry again for that. And Jackie said, thank you. And then he said, oh, and my wife looks beautiful tonight. I was just like, these two are fully unhinged. I don't understand them at all. Like, you know, crazy recognizes crazy, and they certainly do. They have their own brand of crazy, because Jackie is on a different hemisphere to anybody up in that place. I don't even think she's off this planet, because there's no way in hell she can act this way in a real life. That's all I'm saying. She really, well and truly, she cannot act this way in a real life. The same with Ryan, because I don't understand these two. I really don't. So Alessandra said to Ryan, like, you know, those comments were disgusting and shouldn't have been said, and everyone at the dinner table was coming to Jackie's defense, and basically Ryan's response wasn't to take ownership of it. So she wanted to know why he would not take ownership of it then and there, and Ryan did not answer that question at all. And I truly think it was due to the backing of Jackie, yeah, because she was so gung-ho and defending Ryan and building this superficial united front, yeah, that Ryan was emboldened. Ryan was fully emboldened not to accept that accountability of the things that he said. So it gets my goal, yeah, sometimes when Jackie sits there next to Ryan looking so small and contrite and acting like she is this timid woman, not making eye contact or looking up. I just needed to know what that was about, like, seriously, because she's not that way at all when she's challenging this man or showing who she is to people. So Alessandra says she's confused by their flip-flopping. We all are, love. We all are. So she goes, you were a united front, then it crumbled, then they united again. I told you, they're liable to give anybody person whiplash watching these two and how they carry on. She's all like roses because Jackie's talking about how Ryan brought her flowers. And I just, at this point, I ain't gonna lie, I shut off, because I was like, I don't know if this is like, I don't know if this is some kind, they see this as some kind of competition that they have to win at all costs, because it's like they won't give up. Let's just put it this way. So Alessandra, as I said as well, in my view, was not buying what Jackie and Ryan were selling. I think they confused the couples that were sitting there watching them. They definitely as hell confused the freaking experts, let me put it that way. Reset button my ass, yeah, because this ain't back to the bloody future at the end of the day, and I'm getting sick and tired of hearing this reset shit, to be honest. So Alessandra asked Jackie, should Ryan have been dishonest and put you first, even though he didn't think she was first in his eyes? So we're back to the freaking photo ranking challenge all over a flipping again. I think Ryan should have done what he wanted to do, and in the way that he wanted to do it at the end of the day. I knew Jackie would not cope being placed third, but Ryan doesn't make Jackie feel beautiful in any event, in any other way. That is the problem, and that's why Jackie keeps going back to this pissing photo ranking challenge at the end of the day, because Ryan made her feel hella insecure, because being placed first don't matter in the grand scheme of things if you know your own worth. And I don't think Jackie does, even though she likes to wax poetic that she believes she does. She really does not, because she needs a man to be able to show her what her worth is. That's what she needs. So Jackie said, I'm not asking Ryan to be dishonest, I'm asking him to find a way to put me first. That is the most confusing bunch of bollocks I've ever heard in my life. Because I was like, mate, no, you're asking him to be dishonest. You're asking him to spare your feelings. Yeah. Jackie loves to live in a place of freaking make-believe. And that's why I said Jackie is not secure in who she is and her own worth at the end of the day. So Jackie twists the cuckoo stalk that little bit more. Yeah. And she says, it's not about me, it's about my children. I don't need the validation. I'm happy with how I look. And I'm like, so why are you asking this man for validation to say that you're beautiful every single day if you are happy with the way that you look? What is that about at the end of the day? I don't even think Jackie knows what she wants or what she's saying. Yeah, and the more she talks, I think the more she makes it the fuck up. Like, seriously. She talks about how she doesn't know if Ryan will be validating any children if they had them. I just don't... Wait, hold on. What freaking weird rabbit hole in the Black Mirror having place have we jumped into right about now with these two? Like, seriously, even Ryan went right down that weird rabbit hole and followed Jackie to the hilt. And I thought, these two are fucking weird. Like, they make no sense. But then on the flip side, they show how perfect they are for each other, because who else would understand them but each other? Oh, sometimes I think that these two were planted in this show because they could never be real. They could never carry on like this on the outside world, because I'm amazed. I'm amazed by them. Even John said, I'm confused, and I'm like, you and everyone else sitting here watching this right now. So it brings up Jackie being in like the throes of her emotions at the dinner table, and he said, like, you said Ryan is nothing that you asked for, and now you're sitting here talking about future and your children. I was like, John, don't you know they hit the bloody reset button, my friend? They went back to the future and they changed it. Oh, Lord have mercy. I just can't with these two. So Jan had to go that little bit deeper, and I'm just like, John, please, just let it go. Seriously, let it go. So he says to them, I need you to help me understand what the hell is going on. So Jackie said she cares for Ryan, but if we are being honest, we don't know if we will be compatible in the real world, because we have different interests. And I thought, hold on a minute, have they just hijacked how Afina is feeling about Adrian and hijacked her plight to make it her own? Because what? So Jackie lists a whole bowl of superficial stuff. So they get them to concentrate on what they do like about each other, and Jackie talks about everything that she likes about Ryan and his attributes. So they go to Ryan and he talks about what he likes about Jackie. I was just like, you know what, these two they prep for the dinner party and they prep for the confessions of the couch, because there ain't no way at the end of the day, and each time they do, they come off crazy and crazier every damn rotted week. So the decision was to stay. I was like, thank God, get them off the couch please, because I just can't. So the next couple up was Rhea and Jeff. Again, nothing to write home about them. They're still continuing to connect with each other, so their decision was to stay. So then we get to the next couple, Efwina and Adrian. So Efwina does talk about the fact that her and Adrian have had a very trying week. So Efwina talked about the way that she shows up for Adrian daily. This man was sitting there not focused on a damn thing that Efwina was saying at all. Efwina talks about how she feels unseen, and she says all the problems that they chose to sweep under the rug and how they have started to feel heavy lately. And I says, this is why you don't sweep things under the rug, because it's still there and it hasn't gone away. You haven't dealt with it. You just literally put it in a pile, in a place where it's literally going to start seeping out, and at times you're going to have to deal with that shit. So John asked Efwina, can you explain how it is you don't feel seen? This is when Adrian moves his arm from around Efwina. So again, he distanced himself from her as soon as she starts to get emotional and talks about the lack of attendance of Adrian, like his lack of like accountability, him not being there, him not listening to her. So he doesn't in those times provide her with support or an anchor, and he does that a few times when they've been on the couch. He will remove his arm from around her when she's talking about her feelings and her emotions and what he's doing to impact her. So she talks about like the acts of service, and she's talking and she's like, I don't think Adrian understands that it's love languages. Yeah, I don't think Adrian knows or cares, to be honest, what it is, because he's not that indebted with Efwina. I just don't see him being that indebted with this girl, and the way that he treats this girl, he don't like her in the slightest. He likes to slide between her legs, but as a person, he don't like her at the end of the day. So at this point, Adrian is starting to look away and smile, and I swear I wish I could reach through the screen and rub that smirk from his face, like seriously, because it just gets on my tits, like honestly gets on my tits. So then Adrian then starts to be emboldened by the other idiots laughing in the background, yeah, like a bunch of hyenas, and Adrian starts to invalidate Efwina by making jokes, because he thought, well, actually he felt that, you know, cleaners did come in and yada yada yada. So Efwina says it's little comments that he's making on the sofa right now that make her feel unseen, and she then from that starts to look at the future and says, how can I feel we are compatible, or if he can fit into my son's life and my life, if we are not compatible outside of this experiment? And his behaviour makes me question that. And you see Adrian literally looking at the ceiling when Efwina is saying this, and I noticed through each segment of the camera cuts keeps cutting to Ciara's face, and she's sitting there all stone faced without a single movement while she's listening to this happening. So Mel calls Adrian out about him sitting there looking at the roof as Efwina is talking. So when he's called out, he then turns and smirks towards the lads, and then you see the camera, it just keeps on. Each time he does this, it pans between him, Ciara and Billy. So I was like, oh, I know something's going to be afoot here. So Adrian says that he gets that Efwina feels unseen and how it makes her feel. So they ask Efwina, how does she address the issues with Adrian? So when Efwina does speak, Efwina tells them how he will shut her down. So then Adrian automatically gets defensive when this bit happens. And Afrina is talking and he is providing her with the examples in real time of exactly what she's talking about, because this man won't shut the fuck up. He continues to talk over her to the point where she literally has to shut her mouth and she can't speak, because he will continue to blah 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 blah, blah right over her. So he feels like what he heard of Wina saying is they're not compatible. He hasn't listened to the words that have come out of this woman's mouth in the freaking slightest. And I think Adrian is looking for issues on purpose. So John tells Adrian, it's what you're doing right now which is the problem, because Adrian doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. He asks Adrian, do you feel that you see and hear and validate Afrina? And I thought the answer should be no, because he never does that for this girl. Like, never does that. He does turn around and says, well, for this week, no. I'm thinking for all the weeks, no, you haven't, at the end of the day. And all he wishes to do is blame Afrina for it, for his lackluster trying to be a man. So John does hold him to the coals, basically, but I don't think he holds him to the coals enough at the end of the day. And I think sometimes they let these little shits get away with too much, I'm telling you. So they asked Afrina, do you feel like you want to be in a relationship with Adrian? Oh, just before I get to her answer, they did ask Adrian the same question, and he said straight off the bat, of course I do, 100%. So Afrina tried to talk about the great times, and John cut her off and said, no, it's a straightforward yes or no. Do you want to be in a relationship with this man? My answer would be, do you know what, no. And I would have listed the reasons why. So Afrina said, like, it's hard and she's scared at the end of the day in terms of answering that question, because Adrian's there sitting next to her about, like, it shouldn't be that hard for you to answer the question. I'm like, mate, you don't even show up for this woman, and the things that you say about children, especially when it comes to her child, is absolutely fucking rotten. So how are you expecting this woman to say that she wants to be in a relationship with you when you are not there for her 100%, especially when it comes to showing her that you would be a good role model for her child if she continued on with this freaking marriage? At the end of the day, she goes, I think I do. But her whole hesitation is her answer at the end of the day. So John then asked her why she was getting emotional. She said, because I'm scared, which is honest enough at the end of the day. She says that she is not looking for a potential life partner for herself. She's looking for a potential stepfather for her son, which is true, because this little boy is the most important person in her life. And each time this conversation is going on, I keep noticing Adrian looking over at Sierra, and I don't know what the fuck for. So she does say sorry to Adrian, like, you know, because she does say things to her Adrian, and I thought, oh, here we go again. Now they're connected again. Now they are connected again. I said I do hope Adrian heard of Afrina, but I don't really think he did. I just think it's all going to be set on fire once Sierra comes on the couch, because the cat will be let out of the bag, because I think Sierra is going to take her relationship with Billy down along with Adrian's relationship with Afrina. At the end of the day, their decision was to stay. So then we get to Billy and Sierra. Tell that there are issues between these two because they are so far apart from one another. So John asked them, are they feeling disconnected as a couple? And they both said yes straight away. John asked where they think the disconnect is. I'm like, Sierra's sitting there looking like she cannot stand to be that close to Billy at the end of the day, and she's coming off very cold off that couch. Billy says that he's confused in terms of the place that they are in right now. And I'm sitting here thinking, come on, Sierra, she needs to just let it all out at this point. Billy says he feels, and they both agree, that they rushed into sex on the honeymoon. So then Billy does share the moment, like, you know what, after the dinner, we did have sex again last night. Billy said that he felt that them having sex happened at the right time. However, I'm going to say, Sierra is sitting next to Billy with a face like a spanked ass, and I'm thinking this woman is gonna come out with something so half-cocked it's gonna hurt Billy to hell and back. So now Billy feels that them having just a sexual thing wasn't what he necessarily wanted, because he'd been saying from the get-go that he wanted the emotional connection as well. And he talks about how Ciara is a sexual being, to be fair, and fiery in that department. Billy was talking about he's happy for that, but he's more about what's on the inside. It isn't all about sex for him. So I get it. So Ciara says that, like, you know, she's been open with Billy about wanting physical touch, and it's not about sex, it's about holding hands, etc, etc, etc. But I'm like, hold on right there, because Ciara is the one that keeps on talking about Billy in a sexual sense. And I don't mean hand holding in a sexual sense. She's talking about how she wanted that man to touch her body, do things with it, and that ain't nothing to do with no hand holding. So she's full of bollocks on that one, I'ma say. Like, seriously, I really think she's full of bollocks. I think she's looking for any excuse now in order to blame Billy with how the fuck she feels right about now. So Ciara said, like, you know, about the sex that they had was like a drunken fumble in her opinion. I looked at the screen and I was like, wow, you literally sat on the couch in front of everybody and said that. Okay, even Billy was shocked on hearing that, because I was like, Billy said, oh, no, it was slow and it was passionate, and he felt close to Ciara in that moment, and Ciara's now come in on this couch to shit all over it, because that's what she wanted, yeah? So we need to understand what the hell has happened right now. So she says, sometimes I feel I like Billy and sometimes I feel that I don't. And she says that she feels that he's not getting her needs met. I was just like, this is a completely different Ciara that we met to the last couch session and in intimacy week, when she was just all about Billy at the end of the day and the fact that he is meeting her needs. So Alessandra asked Ciara, well, what are you doing to help the connection with Billy, as he has expressed for a while his need for an emotional connection? I thought, good question, Alessandra. Let's see what Ciara said about that, shall we? So Ciara says we need to speak more about things that have happened in her past. She says she finds it difficult in this environment and it's just a bit fucked up, I guess. And I was just like, the way in which she was saying this shit, it was so blasé, like she was just throwing anything out there and hoping it will stick. So Billy brings up the fact that Ciara said she will speak to him about it, and he says that they're now 4 weeks down the line and he's still none the wiser in regards to what this is about her past and why she can't share that with him. So Alessandra asked Ciara if she had opened up to anybody else in the group about her past experiences. This is where it gets dicey. So Ciara turns around and goes, I was like, yeah, nah, from when you said we already know you did some shit. So she said Ash, as in Ashley, who's already left and was a wife, so that's not too bothersome, because you know what, girls talk. And then she said Adrian, and everyone was like, what the fuck? So everyone looked hella shocked. I was like, we was all like, Adrian? So she's okay to tell another male her innermost secrets, but not her husband. Billy couldn't believe what he was hearing. I thought that was just hella sneaky. I said, Ciara's trying to play it like she told Billy that she told Adrian about her past experiences. And I was like, mate, pull the other one, because you're trying to convince someone too tough that you did something that you know you didn't do. Billy won't be so damn shocked by what he's heard if you'd have shared that information with him, but you didn't. So Ashley, they're not bothered about, because as I said, girls talk. But you told another husband who is not your husband about a past. You should have told your husband for a growth in that emotional connection. So Billy is sitting there like, what the actual fuck is going on here? Like, seriously? So Billy told Ciara he didn't know what she was going on about in terms of what she's saying in regards to Adrian, and her telling him that she told Adrian X, Y, and Z, because she never said that at the end of the day. So Billy said, so you're telling me that you shared more with Adrian than with me? So it looks like Adrian and Ciara were trauma bonding. That's the only way that I'm going to see it at the end of the day. So each of them were letting out their little secrets to each other that Adrian hadn't told his wife, or would not tell his wife, especially when it came to, like, you know, the confessions week. He would not do that letter come hell or high water, but he sat there and gladly told Ciara about it. And she sat there and gladly told Adrian about it, that she wouldn't tell her husband about it. Now they're trying to play it like they did nothing wrong. So Fuina turned around and asked Adrian, did you open up? And Adrian answered completely without thinking at first and went, yeah. And then when he realised what he said, he went, oh, I thought, yeah, you done played yourself there, my brother. So Billy said his piece perfectly in what he wanted to say, that he wrote that letter on Confessions Week, and it made him revisit past traumas that he held. Yeah, and she knew, as in Ciara knew, how big it was for him to do that, and Ciara didn't reciprocate in one way, shape or form, but was comfortable enough to tell Adrian her issues and not him. So Fuina spoke up and said, like, she feels blindsided because Adrian didn't even do the task in Confessions Week. He refused to open up to her, but opened up to Ciara. And she was like, that's like a big F you in the face. And Billy said, same. And Ciara apologised to Fuina. And Billy was like, well, where's my apology and all this and this? Ciara sat there stone faced, and I thought, is this bitch for real? Like, are you for real? Are you okay, my love? You can sit there with your stone faced self and apologise to Fuina for you and Adrian having these little hunt hangouts, telling each other secrets, but you can't apologise to your husband who you hurt too. All I'm gonna say is there's something more to this with Adrian and Ciara. That's what I'm saying, because the whole presentation is off to me. Yeah, so they asked Ciara, why are you feeling more comfortable to open up to Adrian than Billy? And she says, I don't know. And then says, I don't want Billy to be put off or think I'm damaged goods. And I thought, well, that's a really piss poor way to look at yourself at the end of the day. And you have not really given Billy the chance to have an understanding of what it is that you are so afraid of, to share with him, to actually know whether, like, you know, this will be a thing for you two, whether you'll be able to come through with that. Because at the end of the day, Billy's going to see it as you were there for him when he had to revisit past traumas, so why would he not be there for you? So the decision was to stay from both of them. I still don't think it's going to go any which way with them at the end of the day, because Ciara's already sat in that place of, I don't know how to come back from this. I don't know if I want to come back from this. And I think she's already got her sights set on Adrian at the end of the day. So that is where the episode ended. I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my renegades and people that come in, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share, and the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1K. Peace out.